First contact. The observatory at Mauna Kea went silent as Dr. Elena Reyes stared at her monitor. The anomaly she'd been tracking for 3 weeks had just changed course. Nothing natural moved like that. "Run the calculations again," she ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline surging through her veins. Her assistant, Wei, looked up from his station. "I already did. 3 times. It's definitely changing velocity and direction. It's coming here." The object, nearly a kilometer in length according to their measurements, was traveling at speeds that defied human engineering. Within hours, the world's governments were notified. Within days, a global emergency was declared. It wasn't alone. Dozens more appeared at the edges of the solar system, moving in formation. The message came on a Tuesday morning, broadcasting simultaneously on every frequency, in every language. "People of Earth, we are the Vexeri Imperium. Your world has been selected for integration. Resistance guarantees extinction. Compliance ensures survival. You have 14 Earth days to prepare your leadership for transfer of authority. The terms are non-negotiable." Admiral Kentaro Ishida stood on the bridge of the United Earth Defense Force flagship Resilience, watching the tactical display as the alien armada positioned itself in high orbit. Their technology was centuries beyond humanity's most advanced weaponry. A direct confrontation would be suicide. "How much time do we have?" he asked his tactical officer. "Their deadline expires in 18 hours, sir. All attempts at communication have been ignored beyond their initial broadcast." Admiral Ishida nodded slowly. "Then we proceed with Operation Echo." For decades, humanity had theorized about first contact. They had prepared contingencies for peaceful encounters and hostile ones. No one had expected an ultimatum from a species that had conquered half the galaxy. Global intelligence services had been working non-stop since the message. Quantum computing systems analyzed the aliens' communication patterns, spacecraft designs, and energy signatures. A breakthrough came when they detected regular bursts of quantum-entangled particles, evidence of faster-than-light communication. Dr. Reyes had made the crucial discovery. Their command structure is highly centralized, she explained during the emergency United Nations session. These conquest fleets have never faced significant resistance. They come, they intimidate, worlds surrender. "What about worlds that fight back?" asked the Chinese representative. "According to the patterns we've detected in their communications, there aren't many. Those that resist are usually annihilated as examples." The UN Secretary General leaned forward. "And your proposal?" "We don't fight them," Dr. Ray said. "At least, not in the way they expect." Operation Echo began immediately. Every major city on Earth appeared to have been hastily evacuated. Self-driving vehicles were left abandoned on highways. Power plants ran on automated systems. Broadcast stations transmitted empty emergency messages. To any observer, it would appear that humanity had fled in panic. But they hadn't gone far. The Vexeri commander, High Marshal Valkar, observed the blue planet from the command deck of the subjugator. His species had evolved from apex predators on a resource-scarce world. Conquest was in their genetic memory. "Scans indicate minimal resistance potential," reported his second-in-command, Sub-Marshal Tenneth. "Their weapons are primitive. Nuclear primarily, with some directed energy capabilities." Valkar's facial tentacles rippled with disappointment. "Another easy conquest. How boring." "However," Tenneth continued, "there's something unusual. We're detecting minimal life signs on the surface. Cities appear abandoned." Valkar straightened. This was new. Abandoned. Did they detect our approach sooner than we thought? Have they fled underground? Subsurface scans show some population centers beneath major cities, but not nearly enough to account for 8 billion humans. Send reconnaissance teams. I want to know what we're dealing with. The first Vexeri scouts landed near what humans called New York City. They found streets empty of people but full of evidence of hasty departure. Food left on tables. Vehicles abandoned mid-journey. It was as if everyone had simply vanished. Similar reports came from landing parties across the planet. No resistance, no surrendering delegates, just absence. Could they have developed some cloaking technology we can't penetrate? Valkyr demanded. Unlikely, Tenneth replied. Their technological level doesn't support it. Besides, we're detecting some humans, just not nearly enough. Where did they go? Valkyr slammed his armored fist against his command console. No species has ever. He was interrupted by a communication officer. High Marshal, we're receiving a transmission. From the surface. A single human female appeared on the main screen. She sat behind a desk in what appeared to be a broadcast studio, calm and composed. Greetings, representatives of the Vexari Imperium. I am Dr. Elena Reyes, speaking on behalf of humanity. We received your ultimatum and have prepared our response. Valkyr's tentacles flexed with anticipation. Finally, the inevitable surrender. We respectfully decline your offer of integration. Stunned silence fell across the command deck. Valkyr recovered quickly. You decline. Perhaps you misunderstand your situation. We can obliterate your civilization with a single command. Dr. Reyes nodded. We understand perfectly. However, before you make that decision, you should know that we've been studying your fleet since it entered our solar system. We've analyzed your quantum communication network, your weapons systems, and your conquest patterns. Impossible, Valkyr thought. Their technology was too primitive. You're wondering where our population has gone, she continued. Let me show you. The view switched to what appeared to be a massive underground facility. Thousands of humans worked at computer terminals, monitored equipment, operated machinery that the Vexari had never seen before. For generations, we've prepared for threats both terrestrial and extraterrestrial. When we detected your approach, we initiated our contingency protocols. The camera panned across row after row of what looked like missiles, but not conventional weapons. They were sleeker, decorated with strange symbols. These are quantum communication disruptors, Dr. Reyes explained. They're currently targeting every ship in your fleet. With a single command, we can sever your connection to the Vexari Central Command. Every vessel in your armada would be isolated, cut off from receiving orders or sending information. Valkyr's blood ran cold. The Vexari conquest model depended entirely on their unbreakable communication network. No conquered world had ever managed to interfere with it. You're bluffing, he said, but uncertainty tinged his voice. We anticipated you might say that. Dr. Reyes replied with a smile. Sub-Marshal Tenneth, you're receiving a private message on your personal quantum channel now. A channel that only 5 entities in the universe should know exists. Tenneth's eyes widened as he checked his secure terminal. High Marshal, she's not bluffing. They've penetrated our quantum encryption. This shouldn't be possible. Dr. Reyes continued. We have no desire for conflict, High Marshal Valkyr. But we will not surrender our sovereignty. We propose instead an alliance, one where Earth maintains its independence while offering technological and cultural exchange with the Vexari Imperium. Valkyr's mind raced. No species had ever resisted successfully. No species had ever penetrated Vexari quantum networks. These humans should be cowering, not negotiating. Why should we negotiate when we can simply destroy you? He demanded. Because we've already uploaded the specifications for our quantum disruptors to 27 of your recently conquered worlds. If we cease to exist, they gain the means to liberate themselves. The Imperium would face multi-front rebellions across the galaxy. It was a bluff. It had to be. Yet the evidence before him suggested these humans were capable of technological feats the Vexari had thought impossible for such a seemingly primitive species. Valkyr made a decision. We will discuss your proposal, Dr. Reyes. Prepare a delegation to board my vessel within 6 hours. After the transmission ended, Tenneth approached his commander. Are we truly considering negotiation? The Imperium has never encountered a species like this. Valkyr interrupted. They manipulated us from the moment we entered their system. They made us believe they fled in panic, while they were analyzing our every move. He stared at the blue planet rotating below them. I want to know how they did it, how they breached our quantum network, and I want to know what else they're capable of. What the Vexeri didn't realize was that Operation Echo was humanity's greatest bluff. The quantum disruptors were repurposed weather satellites. The massive underground facility was a movie set, populated by actors. The penetration of the Vexeri's secure channel was a calculated guess based on intercepted communications patterns. Humanity's true strength wasn't technological superiority. It was understanding psychology, even alien psychology. They had gambled everything on the premise that a species built on intimidation would respect only perceived strength and the threat of humiliation. As Admiral Ishida prepared the human delegation, he reflected on the ancient Earth wisdom that had inspired their strategy. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. The real battle was just beginning. The human solution. The Vexeri battle cruiser Subjugator dwarfed the human shuttle as it docked in the massive hangar bay. Admiral Ishida led the small delegation, accompanied by Dr. Rice and 3 specialists, a quantum physicist, a xenobiologist, and a diplomatic expert. They had prepared extensively for this moment, knowing that humanity's future hung in the balance. The hangar was filled with Vexeri warriors, their armor glistening under the harsh lights. Each stood nearly 7 feet tall, with 4 arms and facial tentacles that rippled with colors expressing emotions humans were still learning to interpret. High Marshal Valkar waited at the center, flanked by his command staff. His upper tentacles glowed deep purple, a sign of controlled aggression, according to the briefings. Welcome aboard the Subjugator. Valkar's translator device converted his clicks and whistles into English. You are the first species invited to negotiate rather than surrender in 3 centuries of Vexeri expansion. We appreciate the distinction, Admiral Ishida replied with a formal bow. And we hope to demonstrate why cooperation will benefit both our peoples more than conflict. As they walked through the massive vessel toward the conference chamber, Dr. Rice carefully observed their surroundings. The Vexeri technology was indeed advanced. Crystalline interfaces, gravity manipulation, materials unknown to Earth science. But it wasn't incomprehensibly beyond human understanding. Given time and access, humanity could learn from it, adapt it, perhaps even improve upon it. The conference chamber overlooked Earth, its blue splendor filling the viewport. As negotiations began, the humans presented their case methodically, focusing on mutual benefit rather than threats. Our species thrives on diversity and adaptation, Admiral Ishida explained. Throughout our history, our greatest advances have come through cultural exchange and cooperation, not conquest. Valkar's tentacles flickered with skepticism. Yet your history is filled with warfare and domination. Yes, the Admiral acknowledged. We've made terrible mistakes. But we've learned from them. The united Earth you see before you emerged from centuries of conflict. We understand both war and peace intimately. This gives us perspective your Imperium may lack. The negotiations continued for hours. The Vexeri were clearly testing the humans, probing for weaknesses, searching for the limits of the bluff that had brought them to the table. During a brief recess, Sub-Marshal Tenneth approached Dr. Reyes as she studied a Vexeri star chart. Our intelligence says your world was deeply divided merely decades ago, he said. How did you achieve such unity in your response to us? Dr. Reyes considered her answer carefully. Necessity. External threats have a way of clarifying priorities. And these quantum disruptors, our engineers cannot determine how they would function given your technological limitations. She smiled. Perhaps your engineers should consider that technology can develop along different paths. What seems impossible from one perspective may be achievable from another. Tenneth's tentacles darkened with suspicion. You're being evasive. I'm being diplomatic, she corrected. There's a difference. Meanwhile, aboard the human vessel Resilience, technicians monitored the negotiation transmissions. Operation Echo's second phase was underway. While the delegation kept the Vexeri leadership occupied, specialized systems were mapping the alien vessel's communications infrastructure, creating a comprehensive picture of their technology. Back in the conference chamber, High Marshal Valker grew impatient. These discussions circle endlessly. Prove your capabilities. Show us these quantum disruptors in action. It was the moment they had prepared for and dreaded. The bluff was about to be called. Admiral Ishida remained impassive. Activating such technology in proximity to your fleet could have unintended consequences. We brought something else instead. He nodded to Dr. Reyes, who opened a small container. Inside was what appeared to be a simple crystal sphere. This contains a complete cultural database of humanity, our art, music, literature, philosophy, and scientific knowledge. It's encoded in a quantum matrix compatible with your systems. Valker's tentacles rippled with confusion. You offer information when your survival is at stake. We offer understanding, corrected the Admiral. Before you decide our fate, know who we are. The Vexeri scientists examined the sphere cautiously before connecting it to their systems. Immediately, the chamber filled with human music, a powerful orchestral piece that swelled and flowed. Images of Earth's landscapes, cities, and people projected across the walls. Art from throughout human history appeared and transformed. Literature translated into the Vexeri language scrolled alongside mathematical formulas and scientific theorems. It was humanity distilled to its essence, beautiful, complex, contradictory, and persistent. The Vexeri watched in silence. Their species had evolved as predators and conquerors. Art and abstract thought were secondary to dominance and expansion. What they witnessed now was utterly foreign to their experience. "This is your weapon?" Valker finally asked. "Culture?" "No," replied Dr. Reyes. "This is our identity. Our weapons are what brought you to this table. Our culture is why you should want us as allies rather than subjects." As the display continued, subtle changes occurred in the Vexeri command systems. The human cultural database contained more than art and knowledge. It carried a sophisticated infiltration program that mapped the Vexeri command structure, cataloged their technologies, and identified vulnerabilities in their systems. Not to attack, but to understand. Hours later, when the delegation returned to Earth, they brought with them an unprecedented agreement. Earth would remain sovereign, becoming the first independent ally of the Vexeri Imperium rather than a subject world. In the months that followed, humanity revealed the truth behind Operation Echo. The quantum disruptors were indeed non-functional. The underground facilities were elaborate sets. The penetration of Vexeri communications had been a carefully orchestrated illusion based on probability analysis and psychological profiling. Surprisingly, Valkar was not angered by the deception. His tentacles displayed colors of amused respect. "You achieved through ingenuity what no species has accomplished through force," he acknowledged. "You understood us better than we understood you. That makes you valuable." The true exchange began. Humanity offered new perspectives, art, philosophy, and innovative thinking that the conquest-focused Vexeri had never developed. In return, the aliens shared technology that accelerated Earth's development by centuries. But perhaps most significant was the change in the Imperium itself. The encounter with humanity had revealed flaws in the Vexeri conquest model. If one species could resist through cleverness rather than firepower, others might follow. Better to incorporate some worlds as allies, preserving their unique strengths, rather than subjugating all as identical subjects. 5 years after first contact, Dr. Rice stood aboard a new vessel, the Diplomatic Envoy, a joint human-Vexeri construction. As Earth's ambassador, she now traveled to worlds facing Vexeri contact, helping to facilitate peaceful integration or alliance rather than conquest. The Vexeri believed strength came only from dominance. She explained to her new staff as they prepared for their first mission. "We showed them that true strength comes from diversity and cooperation." Her assistant, A young Vexari named Nexel, whose tentacles frequently displayed the blue hues of curiosity, looked up from his station. But wasn't your resistance based on deception a bluff? Dr. Reyes smiled. The quantum disruptors were a bluff, but our greatest strength was real. Our ability to understand others, to adapt, to find solutions beyond force. That's the truth that changed the stars. As the diplomatic envoy entered faster than light travel, humanity's influence continued to spread throughout the galaxy, not through conquest, but through something far more powerful: understanding. The species that had ruled through fear had finally encountered one that spoke a different language, and the universe would never be the same.